Alrighty guys, today we're going to draw Shadow the Hedgehog. So make sure your paper is up and down the tall way and we'll get started. So we're going to start with Shadow's eyes. We're going to draw like this kind of mask shape. And Shadow has fairly big eyes, so we want to make sure that we're drawing this fairly large on him. The bottom part for the most part is straight and the top has a wiggly line. Okay, once you're done with that, we're gonna add his eyebrow. He's angry, so we want him to have angry eyebrows. And then we're gonna draw his eyes, his pupils. So they're an oval shape. One of them gets slightly cut off because of the angle. And then we're gonna add this little circle on the bottom of his eye. Little circle on the bottom of his eye. And then a smaller oval inside of his eye, just for extra detail, because we want our shadow to be kind of detailed. Okay, perfect. Then we're going to move on to his nose. His nose is a little oval, and we're going to color it in, because Shadow has a black nose. And then we're going to do his mouth. So it's like an oval shape with a line in the middle for his teeth. And then we're going to do his muzzle. His muzzle. So we should have his eyes, his nose, his mouth, and his muzzle. Then we're going to move on to his ears. He has the same ears as Sonic. They're pointy, kind of like a cat's ears. And then we just need to do the inside of his ears. So it's just another triangle on the inside right there. Triangle, triangle. Okay, awesome. Okay, we got his ears. Now we're going to do this part of his eyebrow. This part of his eyebrow. And then we're gonna move on to his quills. So Shadow has quite a few of these, more than Sonic does. So we have one at the top that goes behind the ear. Then we have this one that comes out right below it and stops. And then another one that comes out and stops right below his muzzle. So far we have 3. Then we need to do 2 more on the other side. So 1 and 2. Okay, perfect. So now we have his quills, we have his head, but Shadow has stripes on his head. So we want to add this stripe on the top of his head. And then another stripe on this quill, and another one right here. Okay, so now Shadow has his stripes. Now we're ready to move on to his body. So he has these fluffy marks right here for his chest. Then we're gonna move on to his arm. So Shadow's arms are kinda skinny. But he has a lot of details on his gloves. He has the rings and also just the details of the gloves themselves. So we're gonna draw one ring, and some more details on his glove. And honestly, I think the hands are gonna be the hardest part of this drawing. So once we get past the hands, the rest of the drawing should be super easy. So here we have his thumb. Then we have his pointer finger. Now we have 2 fingers. And then the other 2 are gonna be bent. So 1 bent finger, 2 bent fingers. And then a line, and another line. Okay, we have 1 hand done. Awesome, guys. 1 hand done. Now we're gonna do these details for his back. His back is just a slanted line, and then he has a quill on his back. 1 quill on his back. And then his tail. And his tail curves the other way, the opposite way of the quill on his back. Okay, cool. we're gonna move on to his legs. Shadow has pretty long legs. And we're gonna draw it slightly at an angle. They're slanted, slightly at an angle. And then we're gonna move on to his shoes. Now, I simplified his shoes a little bit because they're very, very detailed. So hopefully it's a little bit easier to draw this way. So we're gonna add an oval and color it in. Then we're gonna add this ring. Then we're gonna start drawing the top of his shoes. So that is the top of his shoe. Then we need to add a ring. And then finally we can move on to the actual shoe. So the shoe is kind of like a rectangle with a little piece coming out. So kind of like a rectangle with just a little piece coming out on the side. Then we're gonna add this line right here for detail. That line right there for detail. And awesome, we're already done with one shoe. So now we're gonna move on. We're gonna add another line for his body and then move on to his other leg. This knee is bent. So the other one was sticking straight out. This one is bent. And remember that his legs and his arms are both kind of skinny and long. Then we're gonna draw an oval and we're gonna color in that oval just like we did on the other shoe. And once we're done with that, we're gonna add this detail, not an entire oval, but most of an oval. And then we're gonna draw the beginning of the shoe, Then we're gonna add a ring, And I'll give you guys a second. And then we're gonna add the last shoe. And remember, it's the same way we drew the other one. Kind of a rectangle shape with a little piece sticking out. Okay, then we're gonna add the detail. Okay, perfect. And one more thing we need to do. We need to add his last arm and hand. Hopefully this hand will be easier because he'll be making a fist, and fists are easier to draw than individual fingers. So we're gonna draw his arm. We only see part of his arm. Part of it is covered up by his body, so don't worry about that. And then we're gonna draw this ring around his wrist. Once we've done that, we're gonna start on his fist. And then we're gonna draw the individual fingers, but they are balled up so we don't have to draw any detail. So there should be 4 fingers and then his thumb. 4 fingers and then his thumb. Then we add another line to finish off his hand and color that part in. And we're done with our shadow drawing. Woohoo! So when you're ready to add color, shadow is black with red stripes and the rings are gold. Have fun coloring, guys. Great job today.